choose a lot of different nationalities. But then I want to have many different types of characters. And then along comes the roulette wheel, right? Where will the ball land? Who will be the nice guy? And who will be the dick? And as an American, we're very sensitive that like certain ethnic persons or persons of certain socioeconomic status should never wind up being the dick because they've been stepped on so much. So like any artist in America would not, like they'd be really reluctant to make, let's say, a Native American the dick. It just seems wrong. So the only available adaptations are like people who are established and are like so embedded in American life you don't even notice it anymore. And guess what? Western Europe, here we come. And yet that's why. It's just like I was just scattering them around. But this is the problem whenever you have a truly diverse cast, everybody represents somebody, right? And it's like I have plenty of Asian American friends, and it makes my heart sink that I have this half Japanese artist who's so mean, so cynical. But here's the thing you have to do: always make sure that when a character comes across as a villain, like the artist, for instance, there has to be something about them that isn't necessarily villainous. The critic, the one with the German name, the one who tenses his fingers like this and looks down his nose, looks like a villain all the time. The critic can be mean, but he can also be right. And there's what a lot of the story hangs on. What is our judgment of David as an artist? I don't actually say. But some of the things that the critic says about him, we have to wonder, is he right? And David wonders, is he right?
Which brings us to the point, to the question, you've never worked as a critic in the narrow sense of the word, but you come from the other side of the table in a way, because you work as you started, or you are famous for telling people how comics work, how they should make comics, so, or how they comics richtig lesen, how you have to, how you can make comics in a way that they are that they have a maximum effect on the reader. So, was it very difficult for you then to switch the roles and then to get into the role of into the role of an artist again? So, was it helpful that you had analyzed all those structures and mechanics of the comics, or was it an obstacle? Because I can imagine that on some point that you have the feeling you have to show your readers that all you've told them for years and years that you can transform it into something very great and impressive. Was it that way, or were you relaxed?
I was relaxed. Yeah? I was ready. I wanted to do fiction again. I actually really like fiction again. I mean, I really like fiction, excuse me. I had been gone from fiction so long, mostly just because I had a few books I wanted to do, and they took a very, very, very long time to write and draw. I'm slow. And so it looks like Scott's gone way off in this direction, but in Scott's mind, all I'm doing is going boom, 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 all over comics. It's just that in real time, that's like. Imagine, like, you know the Roomba, that little vacuum cleaner that just wanders around your living room? Have you seen that? It's like, imagine the slowest Roomba. I was just way off in the corner of the living room going for 15 years. But I was so ready to do fiction. I love fiction, not only because fiction is warmer and richer and lets you use your instincts again and use your heart, not just your head, but also because it's a real challenge for the head. It's an intellectual challenge to try to construct something with your mind that just simply lives and breathes, that feels real. That's exciting. That's a real challenge, and I wanted that challenge. And I liked the pressure. I liked the pressure of having put myself out there and explained how to do this stuff, because it meant that there was no choice but for me to sit in that chair for 5 years and get it right, because otherwise I was going to look like the biggest idiot who ever lived. You know? I had to get it right.
But I learned that the idea of the project is much older than the last 5 years. I think you said
yes.
This is 20 years or so? Or
even 30, actually.
30 years.
I would know. It would be like my early 20s. When I was...
When you were 26.
Yeah, when I was 26, I had this story.
Yeah.
And this was during a period where I was secretly in love with Ivy for 7 years. And I had this romance in my head with her in it. And I had this story in my head. But I was in my 20s, so it was a big, like, pompous, operatic idea. What do, 20-something-year-olds, what kind of stories do they want to tell? I want to tell a story about the whole universe and how it's all connected. And love and death are at war with good and evil, and it's, those are the things that young people want to talk about. Old people want to tell stories about how, because of their struggles with the medication for Crohn's disease, they were able to reconnect with their distant relative and, become a new Nabokov scholar or something. It's just like, that's, old people tell smaller stories. So I thought, maybe I will collaborate with younger me. Maybe I will take younger me and say, all right now, calm down. I like this story you have, because I do. I like the story. But let's see if we can think it through a little more. Think through what you're really saying here. Maybe you don't quite know what the story is about yet. Maybe the old me can help young me to understand better what you're really talking about. Because when you're talking about this idea of making something and being remembered for it, what you're really talking about is our fear of being forgotten. Because we're all, on some level, we're all afraid of being forgotten. And all of us are going to be forgotten. So on some level, it has to be a story about acceptance, about coming to grips with what it is to be human and to be mortal, and how struggling against it is futile, but that futility can be beautiful.
But before we talk about death and being forgotten, we should talk about love, let's say. Is it true that Meg, the main character, was built after Ivy?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
So perhaps we should have a first page then.
Sure.
That one, I think, in the German edition, is page 52, so it might be 50 in the English edition.
Yeah, it will be.
So that's when Meg/Ivy first enters.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Enters as near as you can tell as an angel.
Yeah.
And I'm an atheist, so I guess there's something to explain there. So maybe we'll leave it a mystery, since many of you have not read the book. Why does an atheist have an angel in his book?
Spoiler alert. Yeah, that's true. we can't talk about the book without having spoilers. So that's
there will be some spoilers tonight, not the big ones, but you'll know just a little bit about the story. Yeah, but basically, David has these two supernatural visitations. One of them is real, one of them isn't.
Enough said. So, which brings us to the question: if there's so much of your own biography in it, like we have Ivy here, and Ivy and Meg is named after, as you explained in the afterword, after a sister of Ivy who died at a very young age as an infant. So, how much of you then, as a 26-year-old, is it? Did you ever think you have to sell your soul to the devil to become a great artist?
I think that if I had the chance, I wouldn't have made that deal, because that's a terrible deal.
Yeah.
That's a terrible deal, because eternity is a long time. But But the deal of selling the 200 days to death, now that's a